Good morning, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. It's Monday, February 16th, 2026, and this is your AM update. The search for Nancy Guthrie goes on with no end in sight, but authorities have a new lead involving DNA from a glove.
For we in America have no interest in being polite and orderly caretakers of the West's managed decline. We do not seek to separate, but to revitalize an old friendship and renew the greatest civilization in human history.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio getting rave reviews for a speech in Munich about the future of Western civilization.
I think that this is such a, I think that this is of course a very long-standing policy of the United States.
AOC and Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer not exactly having the same way with words during their appearances at the event. Plus, did former President Barack Obama just confirm aliens are real? All that and more coming up in just a moment on your AM Update. If you are looking to make smarter choices for your health this year, consider Riverbend Ranch. Their steaks are not only delicious, they also contain real, high-quality protein that helps fuel your body. Beef is a complete protein and contains all 9 essential amino acids your body needs to function. It also keeps you fuller for longer, reducing cravings and snacking. But here's the key, not all beef is created equal. The quality of the beef depends entirely on how it is raised and where it comes from. That's where Riverbend Ranch stands apart. For more than 35 years, Riverbend Ranch has been building an elite Black Angus herd, carefully selecting cattle for exceptional flavor and tenderness. All Riverbend Ranch cattle are born and raised right here in the USA. They never use growth hormones or antibiotics, and the beef is processed at the ranch in their award-winning USDA-inspected facility. No shortcuts, no middlemen, just incredible, healthy, and flavorful beef shipped directly to your home. Order today at riverbendranch.com and use the promo code Megyn for $20 off your first order. It has now been more than 2 weeks since Nancy Guthrie went missing in Tucson, Arizona. The 84-year-old mother of NBC News host Savannah Guthrie was last seen by family on January 31st, and there still have been no arrests despite dramatic surveillance video and images released last Tuesday showing a masked individual wearing a backpack on her front porch. Yesterday, the FBI announcing a possible breakthrough in the case, the Bureau revealing at least one of the gloves found about 2 miles away from Nancy's home, quote, appears to match the gloves of the subject in the video. It is our understanding that they mean it is the same kind of glove, not necessarily that it is one of the gloves worn by the abductor. The FBI writing in a statement that preliminary results do show one of these gloves they found contains DNA, which the FBI plans to check against its national database after performing quality control measures and confirming, indeed, there is DNA on it. This process typically takes 24 hours. Let's hope there's a match. Also yesterday, both News Nation and Fox News reporting authorities are using a, quote, signal sniffer attached to a helicopter to try to detect Nancy's pacemaker. An FBI source telling News Nation the instrument is a, quote, sophisticated FBI technology. According to Fox News, the technology works when helicopters fly low and slow, often in grid patterns, to try to find a signal. News Nation's Brian Enton reporting on Sunday that the device was seen on the skids of a Pima County Sheriff's Department helicopter flying low over the Tucson area. According to authorities, Guthrie's pacemaker app disconnected from her phone at 2:28 a.m. on February 1st, the morning she went missing. Experts say the device is potentially detectable even if the person in whom it has been implanted has passed, so long as authorities get close enough. Separately on Friday, the Pima County Sheriff's Department writing in a statement, quote, DNA other than Nancy Guthrie's and those in close contact to her has been collected from the property. Investigators are working to identify who it belongs to. Everyone's hoping the DNA can crack the case because other operations over the weekend not yielding results. The Pima County Sheriff's Department saying a federal search warrant was executed Friday night based on a lead that appears to have gone nowhere, at least for now. And also making a traffic stop related to the investigation. No arrests were made. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos telling Fox News, quote, Every day moving forward, there will be a lot of police activity throughout the community. As to what level that is depends on what lead they chase and how it develops. These leads start in the command post and move to the field as needed. That is one reason you're seeing activity built up as the day goes on that can ultimately lead to a search warrant looking for Nancy and any suspect involved. NBC News' Tom Winter reporting authorities are, quote, leaning away now from the man whose home was searched Friday night, as well as from Carlos, the delivery man who was stopped near the Mexican border last week. Winter also reporting that law enforcement is now leaning away from any relatives of Nancy as suspects. Amid the setbacks, Sheriff Nanos telling the New York Times he will not give up, but also not exactly striking an optimistic tone. Quote, maybe it's an hour from now, maybe it's weeks or months or years from now, but we won't quit. We're going to find Nancy. We're going to find this guy. As the search drags on, Savannah Guthrie reportedly weighing permanently leaving the Today Show. News Nation's Paula Froelich reporting that Savannah believes the public nature of her job could be what led to her mother's abduction. Coming up, Marco Rubio getting a standing ovation in an unexpected place, while some Democratic counterparts faceplant. And did former President Barack Obama just break some major news about the existence of aliens? You know Pure Talk's favorite holiday? It's President's Day, because they believe wireless service should cost you only a couple of presidents. Just a Jackson and a Lincoln, to be exact. For just $25 a month, Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data. Now compare that to Big Wireless. They'd rather celebrate Benjamin Franklin Day, so they can charge your family hundreds every month. That's not right. You deserve better. Pure Talk is an American wireless company who supports our veterans and invests in a U.S.-only customer service team. So when you call, you're talking to someone right here at home. Pure Talk uses the same towers as the big carriers, so enjoy superior 5G coverage without the inflated price. Just $25 a month for talk, text, and plenty of data. No contract, no cancellation fee. What are you waiting for? Just dial pound 250 and say keyword Megyn Kelly, and you will get 50% off your first month. Again, dial pound 250 and say Megyn Kelly to make the switch to Pure Talk. Secretary of State Marco Rubio getting lots of love on Valentine's Day in Germany, of all places. Rubio speaking at the annual Munich Security Conference, a prestigious event of international leaders that bills itself as, quote, the world's leading forum for debating international security policy. Dubbed the Make the West Great Again speech by Axios, Rubio emphasizing Europe's shared history and culture with the U.S., while also arguing that many of the West's post-Cold War policies on energy, trade, and immigration have made both sides of the Atlantic weaker. Rubio saying that President Trump is reversing those mistakes and inviting the Europeans to join the U.S. on its path to revitalization.
To appease a climate cult, we have imposed energy policies on ourselves that are impoverishing our people, even as our competitors exploit oil and coal and natural gas and anything else, not just to power their economies, but to use as leverage against our own. And in a pursuit of a world without borders, we opened our doors to an unprecedented wave of mass migration that threatens the cohesion of our societies, the continuity of our culture, and the future of our people. Under President Trump, the United States of America will once again take on the task of renewal and restoration, driven by a vision of a future as proud, as sovereign, and as vital as our civilization's past. And while we are prepared, if necessary, to do this alone, it is our preference and it is our hope to do this together with you, our friends here in Europe.
Rubio making clear that the Trump administration's demands for change on issues like free trade and immigration are not just about policy preferences, but about the future of Western civilization.
We are part of one civilization, Western civilization. We are bound to one another by the deepest bonds that nations could share, forged by centuries of shared history, Christian faith, culture, heritage, language, ancestry, and the sacrifices our forefathers made together for the common civilization to which we have fallen heir. And so this is why We Americans may sometimes come off as a little direct and urgent in our counsel. This is why President Trump demands seriousness and reciprocity from our friends here in Europe. And if at times we disagree, our disagreements come from our profound sense of concern about a Europe with which we are connected, not just economically, not just militarily. We are connected spiritually, and we are connected culturally.
The Secretary of State reminding his audience of the Cold War era when the Soviet Union appeared to be on the ascendant and, quote, Western empires had entered into terminal decline, accelerated by godless communist revolutions. Mr. Rubio saying our predecessors recognized that decline was a choice the West rejected then and must reject again in this era of woke self-hatred.
We want allies who can defend themselves so that no adversary will ever be tempted to test our collective strength. This is why we do not want our allies to be shackled by guilt and shame. We want allies who are proud of their culture and of their heritage, who understand that we are heirs to the same great and noble civilization, and who together with us are willing and able to defend it. For we in America have no interest in being polite and orderly caretakers of the West's managed decline. We do not seek to separate, but to revitalize an old friendship and renew the greatest civilization in human history. And the only fear we have is the fear of the shame of not leaving our nations prouder, stronger, and wealthier for our children. Because for us Americans, our home may be in the Western Hemisphere, but we will always be a child of Europe.
Despite Europe's often skeptical, if not downright hostile posture toward the Trump administration, Secretary Rubio receiving a standing ovation at the conclusion of his remarks.
We want to do it together with you, with a Europe that is proud of its heritage and of its history, with a Europe that has the spirit of creation and liberty that sent ships out into uncharted seas and birthed our civilization, with a Europe that has the means to defend itself and the will to survive. We should be proud of what we achieved together in the last century. But now we must confront and embrace the opportunities of a new one, because yesterday is over. The future is inevitable, and our destiny together awaits. Thank you.
The speech going viral on X over the weekend, racking up tens of millions of views. Numerous prominent Democrats also attending the Munich Security Conference, perhaps not as eloquent as the Secretary of State. Exhibit A, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a Democrat from New York. AOC speaking on a panel Friday night, along with Mr. Trump's permanent representative of the United States to NATO, Ambassador Matthew Whitaker, and Michigan's Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer, in a discussion moderated by Bloomberg TV. The title of the session was Breaking with the Past, Seismic Shifts in U.S. Foreign Policy. Something definitely seemed to be broken when AOC was asked about Taiwan.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is of course a very longstanding policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point. And we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
For the record, the U.S. has had a policy of strategic ambiguity where it does not state exactly how it would respond to Chinese aggression against Taiwan. It's been in place since the Carter administration. Not the Congresswoman's finest hour, but maybe not quite as bad as Gretchen Whitmer's earlier in the same panel. The governor saying AOC was the more knowledgeable one on foreign affairs. And sure enough, she embarrassed herself when asked what a successful end to the war in Ukraine might look like.
On Ukraine, what does victory look like?
Ambassador. Oh, please, I'd love to hear your answer. it is. The two that I am on the panel with are much more steeped in foreign policy than a governor is. But I do think that Ukraine's independence, keeping their land mass, and having the support of all the allies, I think is the goal from my vantage point. Go ahead, Ambassador, do a better job.
Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton also making an appearance in Munich, moderating a panel Saturday called "Girls Just Want to Have Fundamental Rights, Fighting the Global Pushback." Because when you think of fun, you think of Hillary Clinton. The first woman she welcomed on the girls panel was the biological male known now as Representative Sarah McBride, a Democrat dude from Delaware posing as a woman, and the first openly trans-identifying person in Congress.
I want to underscore how truly effective Sarah has been in talking with her colleagues, first in the legislature, the state legislature in Delaware, now in Congress, and you have shown immense grace in the face of attacks even from your fellow members of Congress.
Well, thank you so much for those incredibly kind words. It's an honor to be here with you, Secretary Clinton. There is no question in the United States that after decades of historic progress on gender equality writ large, and specifically more recently on LGBTQ rights, that we are facing, as you mentioned, a well-organized, well-funded, right-wing regressive movement. And they really have placed trans people at the center of that effort, but we should be clear that the consequences of this anti-trans effort, not only out of proximity, but out of intentionality, will include consequences for women of all backgrounds.
Unbelievable. But in a moment that sounded more MAGA than Dem talking point, here's Hillary later that same day on a different panel talking open borders and unfettered immigration.
I think we need to call it for what it is.
Secretary
There is a legitimate reason to have a debate about things like migration. It went too far. It's been disruptive and destabilizing, and it needs to be fixed in a humane way with secure borders that don't torture and kill people.
Funny, she didn't seem to have much to say during the Biden administration when all of that was happening. And we end on some breaking news courtesy of Barack Obama, the former president telling progressive podcaster Brian Tyler Cohen in an interview posted Saturday that aliens do in fact exist.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
Incredibly, in a dereliction of duty so profound, Cohen was mocked by the left and the right over the weekend. He failed to ask a follow-up question, like, did you just say aliens are real? Go on. Maybe Michelle can ask her husband for some details the next time she books him on her podcast. Oh, actually, we won't have to wait that long. Late last night on Instagram, Barack Obama weighing in, quote, I was trying to stick with the spirit of the speed round, but since it's gotten attention, let me clarify. Statistically, the universe is so vast that the odds are good there's life out there. But the distances between solar systems are so great that the chances we've been visited by aliens is low. And I saw no evidence during my presidency that extraterrestrials have made contact with us. Really? Do we believe him? And that'll do it for your AM update. I'm Megyn Kelly. Join me back here for the MK Show, live on SiriusXM's The Megyn Kelly Channel, 111 at noon East, on youtube.com/Megyn Kelly, and on all podcast platforms.